changing your career has a very great impact on your life and can indeed change your life for the better. But the sad thing is that many people that I've met or talked to, although they know deep down inside that they actually need to make a change to their careers, don't have the courage or don't feel the energy to actually do it. In case you are someone who is currently thinking about or contemplating or even obsessing about changing your career, then I made this video specially for you, and I hope that I will be able to share with you some insights and some of my own personal experiences that might help you on your journey towards changing your career. And most of all, I also hope that I will be able to manage some of your expectations going into it. So after this very slow start, let's try to pick it up a bit. If you've already been thinking about changing your career for a very long time, let's say 5 years, 6 or 7 years, but you still haven't done anything about it, then chances are that you either don't know where to start, or you are afraid of the journey or what people might think of you, or you just don't know whether all the effort that you will put into it will eventually be worth it. And while some people already know what they would ideally like to do as their second or third career, there are again other people who don't even have an idea. They don't have a clue what they would want to do if they would leave their current career. And just in case you fall into the second group, meaning you are someone who just doesn't like where they are currently in their current career and jobs and just feel like they want to change but don't know exactly what kind of change and where you want to work, in which industry, then that is a question that you need to make sure that you solve first. But let's say now that you fall into the first group of people who already know what you ideally would like to do, but you feel like you don't have the courage or you don't know how to get out of career A and move into career B. Then what I feel is very important to let you know is that no matter what this A is and no matter what this B career is that you want to get to, it is not impossible, and in fact it is very possible that you can get there. So one question is the how, as in how to get from career A to career B. And although the journey from point A to point B can be extremely difficult, I wouldn't say that this is the most difficult part. I would say that the most difficult and challenging part is the part where you decide, or rather you cannot decide, whether or not you want to leave career A and pursue career B. And you don't know whether or not your efforts will be worth it. I know exactly what it's like to be in a position where you feel not happy with your current career and you know that you want to do something else, but you just don't have the courage to go after it, among others, because you don't know whether you will make it or whether it will turn out the way you expected it to be. And many people even don't let themselves dream or think about changing careers because they have the belief that changing your career is a luxury that you can't afford. Another thing that also keeps people from letting themselves think about changing their careers is being afraid of feeling like a failure. Let's imagine this, for example. You've already spent, let's say, 3 or 4 years studying engineering, or perhaps 5 or 6 years, and after you graduated, you spent 4, 5, 6, or up to 10 years working in engineering. And after these 10 years, you come to the realization that actually engineering is not what you really want to do. What you always wanted to do is work as a musician. And maybe all these years you've already had the hobby of playing piano or playing the violin and even playing in the orchestra, and you're actually very good at that, but you've never thought about doing it professionally. And you had this self-image of an engineer, so you never let yourself imagine yourself being anything else than an engineer. But maybe some things happened, or maybe you experienced some things during these 10 years that made you finally realize that, okay, I've had enough of this. I want to go after this other thing. So what happens to many people is when they arrive at this mental point in time, they think after spending 5 years studying, let's say, engineering, and then 10 years working in the field, and now they want to do something completely different, wouldn't that mean that all these 5 plus 10, these 15 years would have been wasted? And I can understand that that kind of thinking can make many people feel like a failure, because if you would continue to work another 5 years or 10 years in engineering, you would either become a very high skilled engineer, or the chances of climbing up in the hierarchy and getting to a very senior position is also very high. So what happens now is, if you quit your job in engineering and you start working as a musician in the orchestra, no matter how good you are, it is very likely that you will notice, at least in the beginning, as though you are starting from zero again. I don't know how far in your case career A and career B are apart from each other. Perhaps you are an accountant who wants to be a musician, or maybe you're a doctor but you want to become a Michelin star cook. I actually have a friend who started his career as a doctor and also studied law, but he has always been passionate about photography and he's a very social person. So he started spending more and more time in photography. He started by shooting photos for weddings, for pre-wedding photos for couples, but then that quickly expanded to taking pictures of couples, of families who were on vacation. These were people who had a budget and they liked to travel to a lot of different countries, but then on vacation they realized that they didn't really have anyone to take pictures of them. So this friend of mine had an idea to come up with a service where he would combine being a photographer and a tour guide and accompany this family on their trip, taking photos of them while guiding them in this country, in this city that they were not familiar with. And that turned out to be a very good business idea. But do you think that in the very beginning, when he just thought of this business idea, he was really that confident that that would work? Perhaps not. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll ask him sometime. Nevertheless, there was something inside him that said, I've got to try this, I've got to do this. So he went after it and he succeeded at it. And even if he hadn't succeeded at it, then at least I think that he would not have the regret of not having tried it. In my case, I used to work in banking for 5 years in project management and business planning. Basically, I was responsible for growing the retail banking side of the business. And after 5 years of working in banking, I finally managed to make the decision to leave my banking career for something that was so uncertain, such as acting and filmmaking. And what ultimately enabled me to make that decision is because I had such certainty, not about whether it would work out or not, but I had such certainty that I would regret it if I didn't at least give myself the chance to try it.